first to admit that I struggled with choosing between the two topics for this speech: faith and spirituality, or activism and social justice. The problem is that these things are not mutually exclusive to me. I haven't always seen it that way or articulated it that way. Yet I was forced to confront this tension a few months ago when the national Christian campus organization I am a part of, InterVarsity, decided to announce its support for the Black Lives Matter movement. In a world that derives many of its stereotypes of Christians from white, conservative, evangelical movements based in the Bible Belt, this bold move by one of the world's largest campus ministries seemed like an aberration. Yes, I was proud of the organization for taking such a bold step. They were affirming thousands of Black believers made in the image of God and recognizing the fears and hurt that have swept across Black communities. But everything I've been exposed to about Christianity, everything I've known Jesus to be, seemed to buck against the idea of using our convictions as a bully pulpit in the larger world. Of course, my Jesus who calmed seas and healed the sick was not an activist. My Prince of Peace, this God with us, surely he didn't mire himself in the politics or challenge the status quo or systemic injustices in a way that brought the ire out of people. Or did he? The Judean sun stands high, beating down upon me in my earthen water jug as I trudge to the well. My heart sinks as I see someone sitting by its edge. I'd come here to avoid my hurt and pain, my status as a social outcast, not to confront it. Yet it is too late to turn back. I go to the other side of the well, and just as I am about to draw from it, he asks me for a drink. Can't he see all the things that prohibit me from fulfilling this simple request? I am a Samaritan. He is a Jew. I am a woman. He is a man. Why is he even speaking to me? He waxes on about some other type of water. But he knows about the men, all of them, all 5 of them. And with a single sentence, he lays me bare and vulnerable, raw, just like society has. What is this man doing, challenging systemic structures and conventional ideas of gender and our roles in society? How can he disregard ethnic identities and the privileges inherent to these divisions? Everything I know and experience. What does he want from me? It is another day at the healing pool waiting for an impossible miracle. I am disabled, shunned by family and friends, and failed by a non-existent safety net. I have been sitting by this pool at Bethsaida for who knows how long, some 38 years, and yet I cling to this fading hope of healing because I have absolutely nothing else. Indeed, there's nobody even willing to help me into the pool when the water stirred. Yet this man has the nerve to ask me, "Do you want to be healed?" What does he think? I'm a victim of misfortune in an uncompassionate world, not of my own disinterest in changing my circumstances. What does he want? What does he mean? Do you want to be healed? I grovel at the center of the temple courts, yet I am irrelevant. The teachers of the law have dragged me here and tossed me before the judgment of yet another man. This is no court of law. There is no testimony to be given. The verdict has already been reached. A woman caught in the act of adultery, they call me. Yet it takes 2. So where is he? I am nameless, helpless, and I brace myself for the rain of stones that I'm sure will bring my death. I am just fodder for them to foment unrest and discredit this Jesus. When they ask him to rain down judgment, he just scribbles in the sand. They still watch his every movement and hang on his every word. Who is this man who can reduce even the Pharisees to whining fools with his words and actions? Who is this Jesus? That is my Savior and God. He calmed seas, and he also met a Samaritan woman at a well and spoke life and hope to her. The Jews had long considered themselves superior to their mixed-race Samaritan neighbors and refused to associate with them. But at that well, Jesus surpassed years of hatred and mistreatment to speak to this woman and help her face her hurt and pain. At the same time, the societal norms of the day forbade men to speak directly to women, and women's opinions and testimonies were not considered. Not to mention, this woman was an outcast in the female community because of her lifestyle. Jesus was ready to break down the walls and to challenge the politics and societal standards, all to meet this woman, speak into her brokenness, and offer her living water. Jesus fed thousands, but he also met a paralyzed man who had been forsaken and forgotten. To this man, the swirling healing pool was his only reference to healing, a healing he could not attain on his own. If only someone would just help him into the pool when the water was stirred. But Jesus wasn't here to wait for the pool to stir. He certainly wasn't going to let the fact that it was the Sabbath, a day when nobody worked, stop him from healing the man right here, right then. This healing still gave the man independence and agency, letting him get up and take his mat and thereby take hold of his freedom. Jesus gave sight to the blind and made the lame walk. And he also turned the woman's death sentence on its head, challenging a self-righteous, angry crowd with the words, "You who are without sin, cast the first stone." Instead of entertaining the malicious desires of the religious leaders, he brought it back to the one person that mattered, the shamed woman put on the stand before her whole community. He silenced the opposition so he could have a one-on-one with this woman and offer her grace, a second chance. So was Jesus an activist? I'll let you decide. I do know he was radical for his times. He showed himself to be a savior for marginalized people, Samaritans, women, the disabled. These are just a few. He gave them voices and he gave them agency. He wasn't stopped by societal time constraints, saying the time for healing and the time for change is now, not tomorrow, not another Sabbath, not when the Jews had finally reconciled with the Samaritans, because people are hurting and in need of help. His radical love for people, regardless of race, gender, physical ability, brought him alongside of them in the midst of their struggle and pain and offered them a new hope. Though the oft-repeated, "What would Jesus do?" might have popped into your mind, I need no hypothetical. I know what my Jesus did, and I know who he is. I also know who he isn't. My Jesus isn't hanging on a cross or resting in peace in a borrowed tomb. He is living and breathing because he wanted to do something about the problem of sin that held us in bondage. He wanted to make us free. My Jesus is active and empowers people to take action and to seek justice. He feels the pain and anguish of every Black mother who wonders if her son or daughter will come back home alive today. He hears the cry of Syrian refugees fleeing their home and looking for refuge. His heart hurts when we allow our prejudices, societal norms, or racial division to keep us from loving one another and coming alongside one another and our respective struggles and pain. My Jesus isn't confined to the walls of a church, cathedral, even to the walls of this beautiful chapel. He is living and breathing and moving and everywhere. Yet he chooses to call my heart his home, his temple. My Jesus gave each one of us agency to choose whom we will serve, to choose him. I choose this Jesus, A radical, defiant, people-loving, relevant Jesus. Thank you.